By focusing only on meat and grocery, we can do those things to the best of our abilities.
No frills, no gimmicks. You're gonna get top quality meat, top quality produce, top quality customer service.
They always tell us, sell it as low as you can. Sell it as low as you possibly can.
And we work hard so we can keep those prices lower.
And that's what Fareway does to a lot of people. They take care of people.
I have one thing to accomplish, and it's that.
This is AEW.
Des Moines, Iowa. On Wednesday, June 12th, All Elite Wrestling presents Dynamite. Get the feeling. As the best professional wrestlers in the world bring wrestling's hottest show to Wells Fargo Arena.
AEW is where the best wrestle.
AEW Dynamite and Rampage. Wednesday, June 12th from Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines. Tickets on sale now at AEWTIX.com.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
All right, let's go. Let's get after it here on Thursday, the 6th of June. Two Guys on Iowa Everywhere. My name is Chris Williams, joined as always by Chris Hassel. We are presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery in the Channel Seed Studios, where we have a little breaking news this morning in college basketball. It looks like Dan Hurley may be going to the Lakers.
How about that? I thought it was a done deal that J.J. Redick was headed to the Lakers, based on reports, based on what people in our building have been saying, based on what J.J. has and hasn't said.
Wow.
Maybe it was posturing to get more money from ESPN. I don't know. But this would be bad for college basketball if we lose Dan Hurley to the NBA. But when you look at the landscape, what is the Connecticut job going to look like in a couple of years? It has a it has a football program, but they're not in a power conference. So where's the money coming from? The TV contracts, the revenue sharing. That job is about to become a lot harder, is it not?
Well, it's one of the reasons why they fought so hard to get into the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and still felt like that maybe was a possibility a couple months ago. It really feels like it's probably not, right? At least in the near future. But you're right, and that football program's a real, honestly, like it's almost a hindrance to UConn. This is so fascinating to me, Chris. Like with this $22 million and stuff, where Kansas has fans that want to win in basketball, right? Like the Ole Miss, they couldn't give two craps. Just put all the money into football,
Mm-hmm.
right? And UConn has a tough deal with basketball because they're going up against a bunch of these private schools that don't have football teams.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's wild. So I wonder if Hurley is I have no idea. Hurley's a very it feels like a highly motivated human being, and he this is the frickin' Lakers, right?
And
probably
look,
don't go to the Nets.
The guy's already
This
won 2 national championships.
This is the Lakers, man.
What
the Lakers.
more can he do at the college level? But I do think this would be bad for college basketball if we lost Dan Hurley.
No doubt. Yeah, and plus it's a dynasty, right? Like they're coming up on dynasty mode, and really in men's college basketball, the coaches are the stars.
Yes.
The women's
and
game
we've
is
lost a
not
lot
so
of them.
much. Yeah.
We've lost Coach K. We've lost Roy Williams. We've lost Jim Boeheim.
Jay Wright.
Yeah, that's a great one there because he was young when he hung it up. Very young and on top of his game. But at a somewhat similar place, Villanova, they don't have football, but in a conference that's, same conference, Big East, that's just not going to bring in a ton of money because there's no football.
We are presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery. A lot to get to today. I have some clips from my interviews up at Iowa State. I have one question I want to ask you, too, when we get to our other segment that I've been thinking about a lot after watching this Tom Brady roast. We'll get to that. I want to start with my time up in Ames this week.
Whoa, we're talking Iowa State football to start the program.
I told you guys we would when we had this content, and here we are, baby.
Sound the sirens. Get the tornado sirens ready.
I had 4 interviews this week. The Campbell one just got posted on Cyclone Fanatic like at 6 o'clock this morning.
So all this stuff is going to Cyclone Fanatic?
Yes, it's all going on Cyclone Fanatic, yeah.
I did watch most of your Williams and Bloom pod yesterday where you talked somewhat about this.
It's nice of you. What'd you
guys
think?
Did a good job. I look, that's where I first heard about the Becht camp that he's doing.
Oh yeah, we're going to Perry. Yep,
down in
we're
Perry.
going to help him out with that.
And that news exploded yesterday because it's exactly what we need more of. Like we're hearing all the horrible things about NIL and there are a lot of bad things because it's not NIL, it's pay for play. But this is NIL. Yes. This is a young man giving back. He knows what a great position he's in. He knows that he can help other people. And he's thinking of others. Perry, a football program that shuttered a couple of years ago because there just wasn't enough turnout.
Yeah, they had to turn the program down. They had to shut the program down. For those people who don't know out there, I actually watched them because they're in Bondurant's division, and they just didn't have enough kids to finish the year. And then, of course, we had the shooting and the plant closure all happened within like a year.
And by all accounts, the thing that really blows me away about this is that this was his idea, and he is putting all of his own resources into it.
He has great parents.
Not only is he not making any money off of this, he is spending his money. And you mentioned the parents. I got to meet Anthony Becht, his dad, when I covered an Iowa football game back in 2015 for ESPN. It was the last home game in that undefeated regular season where it snowed a bunch overnight and early morning. And I was there to cover it because Iowa was undefeated and a big hot topic in college football because, you know, people were saying they didn't deserve to go to the college football playoff because they hadn't played anybody, blah, blah, blah. But I got to spend a lot of time with Anthony, just a great guy. And, of course, Rocco is in this position and able to do this because his family is in a great position as well. Like they're very well off. Anthony had a long NFL career. Other people probably can't do this, or at least wouldn't think to do it because they didn't grow up with a safety net.
Yeah.
That doesn't take anything away from this, but I think it's something to point out because others might feel like, well, you know, I'd like to do that too, but I'm trying to feed my family here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a different case, but man, what a great. I was in the CBS HQ newsroom. I was sitting right next to Jenny Dell, and we hadn't talked about this at all, but she pulls up an email she got right then from Gary Danielson, who calls the games with her. She's on the sideline, Gary Danielson in the booth with Brad Nessler, and they're doing the Cyhawk game this year. Gary Danielson saw Keith Murphy's tweet about that and sent it to Jenny for a potential story to talk about when they do the game on CBS.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm going to do a Cyclone Fanatic podcast from that camp coming up on the 13th of July. So that'll be cool to be able to watch it. So Rocco's, this was the first time I had sat down and spent like a good chunk of time. I've talked to him before. But he's got a really cool personality. We spent some time talking about this new NCAA video game. Maddie, you got that clip. Let's check out what Rocco had to say. He's a neat kid.
What about this NCAA football game? You gonna buy it?
I am. I will. I think it's gonna be cool to play with Iowa State.
Yeah,
that's gonna be really cool. See how good my skills are as an OC, and
see that's where I'm all about. I like to do the dynasty mode. You know,
that's
my thing.
I've played Madden in the past, but like I never gotten into like truly like just I want to go home and play video games.
Yeah.
I was never that guy.
Yeah,
I always
that's good. That's probably why you've been successful.
Maybe I don't know, but I've always just wanted to go outside and play. But
that's why you're successful because you haven't had hours of screen time during your childhood.
Possibly.
This is good.
Well, that's credit to my mom.
Don't start now.
No, I won't. only maybe like twice a week I might play EA Sports because I feel like it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, because it is interesting because now it'll like have your name.
Yeah, it's gonna be super cool. It's especially like I'm gonna get to see like what they made my overalls and all that stuff. So I might be a little mad at some of it, but
I've already given Mauser crap because I was like, "Here's the problem you've got. Now you're gonna have this generation of fans that are gonna be averaging 50 points a game with the Cyclones, and if you don't live up to that, it's on you. They're gonna be telling you what plays they're calling."
Oh my God, that's gonna be hilarious. Actually, I haven't thought about that.
It was cool. That was basically the gist of our interview. I didn't get too in
all you
depth
did
with
was
him.
you just talked to him about the fucking video game?
Just bullshit about the Well, I wanted to bring it up here because we spent a good chunk of last week's second show talking about that damn video game, and I thought it was. He's a neat kid though, and his dad, not XFL, United Football League. They're playing in the playoffs in St. Louis.
Yeah, and they've got all those Cyclones on the team, right?
Yeah,
the Battlehawks,
the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah. All right. So I pulled this clip because I thought it was so cool, and you can also tell that this is Taylor Mauser's first, big job. He's been.
I thought you were going to say his first big time interview.
No, I would never say that.
He's
I would never
talked
say
to
that.
some people. He's never had a real sit down interview like this with a
great
big company before.
I love Mouse. Known him a long time, and his story is really cool. Like comes up from Campbell's just brought him up from being basically a GA all the way up to now a offensive coordinator.
Basically raised Mauser like the Bondurant Fox is raising its pups right now.
Pretty much. It's the anti what's the guy the guy who brought in Deacon Hill?
Jesus Christ, you're going to bring up
the Booty
Meyer. No, listen to this because Hassel, you're an interview guy. Like you've been in a million of these. Mauser is so authentic when talking about his offense, and I say to him at the end, I'm like, dude, don't ever change. But I know he probably will because the media will burn him at some point. Listen to the authenticity in this answer talking about this Iowa State offense.
What a dream for your first coordinator job, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You guys are loaded.
Yeah, we got a lot of talent.
Don't screw it up, man.
Believe me, I've told everybody, and I'll tell whoever listens to this, like, we have so much talent on offense. If we're not good on offense, it'll be 100% because of me. Our coaches are incredible. Noah Pauly's incredible. Tyler Earl's incredible. Ryan Clan's incredible. Jake Waters. They're some of the best coaches I've ever worked with. We have great players at receiver, tight end, our O-line, our quarterback. They check all the boxes. There's one box that hasn't been checked yet, and it's me calling plays that hasn't happened. So all you Iowa State people that are listening, I'm very much aware. And if we're not good, it'll be my fault.
I love this. Don't ever lose this.
I'm not going
Don't ever lose this authenticity. This is great.
I'll try not to.
He will.
That was great. Yeah.
People
usually
that clip.
Those guys have to hedge it a little bit, because now, I mean, expectations were already high. You hear the offensive coordinator say that. Wow.
I love it though. I love the fact that he's the offensive coordinator. He's talking like that, and he shows up in a Ray Gun T-shirt, supporting one of his players. Like that. Like how 2024 college football can you be?
Pretty cool.
So
I do want to getting back to those expectations. I heard you say on the podcast with Bloom that this is going to be the most anticipated sports season in Iowa State history when you combine football with men's basketball and women's basketball.
And wrestling. Wrestling should be
true.
preseason
Yeah, wrestling's
top
on
5.
the upswing as well.
Yeah.
For football, though, specifically, where does this rank as far as hype going into a season? I know it's not going to be at the level that Brock Purdy's last year and Breece Hall's last year.
Below that, for sure.
But is it number 2 behind that? Just based on, because you also have to factor in like the ability to win the conference now is there.
Correct. I would say maybe 2002, Seneca Wallace. Like that. Remember they got up in the top 10 early, and then they cratered.
But I'm talking before the season.
Yeah, no.
Going into a season, because I didn't think that. Yeah, 02, okay, there were expectations, but
you didn't realistically think
they went up
big
time when they beat Iowa.
Yeah, and it's different now with this Big 12, and I would encourage people to listen to my interview with Campbell because we talk about that, like very open about it. Like this is now a league where you used to have, like most conferences in the history of college football have like 2 programs that are above the rest. Mm-hmm. That's just how it's always been. You've had Ohio State and Michigan. You've had Alabama, Georgia. You've had Clemson and Florida State, Texas and Oklahoma, USC and Oregon, right? Like, and then they prop everybody else up. This new Big 12 is so even that you go into it feeling like you're not already, 3 runs behind in the top of the first. And I think that, listen, you have a history of, in conference realignment, teams struggle when they switch leagues. Okay? You've got 19 starters returning. You have top 3 quarterback in the league. You've got a established coaching staff that's had, almost an entire decade of pretty good continuity. It stacks up for Iowa State to have a chance to win the Big 12 conference this year. So, like, even in 2021, right, like the expectations were super high. Like, what were they, preseason top 10, like whatever. This doesn't match that, but you knew it would be, man, it's still going to be tough to beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 or whatever, right? Like, because you just knew, like, you didn't have the talent to go, even though they were very talented, like, Oklahoma, takes a dump and some of Iowa State's guys pop out. Like, that's just the way of the world, the way it's always been. And I really do think that they feel like
what? Oklahoma takes a dump and they're shitting out Iowa State guys?
Meaning, yeah, like 3-star guys, Like, you like that, don't you?
Jesus Christ.
Hey, I'm like Taylor Mauser, except I'm never going to lose it.
Oklahoma takes a dump and shits out Iowa State guys.
Out comes Brock Purdy. No, I just I've been telling Iowa State people this for 2 years. The storylines surrounding Iowa State football might suck a little bit because we're talking TV contracts, we're talking NIL money, and you're never going to stack up there. In the new league, Iowa State is going to have a better chance to compete for a championship on a year-in, year-in basis than it ever has in the history of the program.
So how surprised are you that ESPN's FPI doesn't even have Iowa State in the top 10 of the conference?
I was surprised by that. And I don't, Chris, necessarily know everything that goes into that, but I was surprised by that. I mean, you look at Vegas, you look at returning starters, all that stuff, Iowa State's better than that as far as where those numbers stack up.
I was stunned to see that.
I thought they'd be
100%
top 4.
thinking. I didn't think they'd be top 4. I thought they would be somewhere between 4, I think, would be the ceiling, but I was thinking I would see them around 5 or 6. And you look at this thing, and they're down at 11 behind Colorado, behind UCF.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And
Arizona's the most overrated team in the league, by the way. You can't lose that is going way too much off of previous college football model. They've lost way too much. Their coach,
and you know what? I think it's the FPI in season. Sure, I can see using that as some kind of a gauge. But how much more difficult has it become to do these things, to really put any stock in a rating system like that
so
when you're getting so much realignment and you just don't know?
Like the basketball stuff too. It's so like Bart Torbeck is phenomenal, Kim Pom, but like they can't gauge chemistry when you bring in eight new guys.
We talked what was it, a week or so ago? Bart Torbeck has Iowa projected as, what was it, like 16th or 17th in the Big Ten next season? That's not going to happen. That's
insane. No, I truly think that I think you're going to see a huge step from Samford, and I think Iowa's going to maybe make the NCAA tournament next year.
I expect Iowa to make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. We got a lot of comments coming in. My favorite one, Brent thinks that maybe some testosterone therapy from Game Day Men's Health could help the Iowa State Cyclones improve their FPI rating.
Is that Brent Bloom, who
Brent
got a shot right in the tip and then all of a sudden was just out there doing yard work every day?
I got a text from a friend yesterday, my buddy. I won't name his name just in case it's medical information. Buddy of mine who lives in Atlanta signed up with Game Day Men's Health in Atlanta and got his first testosterone shot yesterday. How about that? How about that for advertising?
Jeez, they really are all over, huh?
Yeah, you're going. You're getting your appointment. I've been on that text chain. You ready to get your shot to the tip?
What if I go in there and what do they do? Take your blood?
Yeah, they pull your blood.
Is it like how much blood do they need from me?
Nah, not much. You go in there.
Is it like a finger prick, or is it really they stick
it in your arm? So they take your blood, and then you go back there and you have yourself an ice cold beverage. They've got beer. You can have a beer. You can have a water. They have snacks, and you sit there, and then like in 15 minutes, the doctor will take you back and tell you about your preliminary and then she'll be like, she or he. Mine was a she. They'll tell you what your
So they have real doctors there?
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
And they'll tell you like, oh, well, this is my guess is your doctor will be like, oh my God, I've never seen T this low. It's the lowest T I've ever seen.
I think they're going to take my blood and they're going to be like, sir, you have so much T in your blood that we need to take some out of you. So here's a cup. Go into the other room. We'll put something nice on the TV for you.
Testosterone everywhere. On Iowa everywhere.
Testosterone everywhere.
I still don't think it's gotten enough play that I asked the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland if he had low T. I mean, I feel like that's we could do this for another 40 years. I'm still kind of scarred
by that whole interaction. We're sitting here doing a program. We've never had a guest on the show.
Swerve, baby.
And then he comes in from like a limo in downtown New York City. And you start asking him about walking him down the ring and if he's got low T.
Yeah, I don't think he was amused. I love when I used to be at KXNO, we used to get these WWE guys all the time, like in studio. And I would always find a way to fuck with those guys and just be like, I would just say, hey, can I treat you like your character? And Ross would just get so annoyed because Ross hates pro wrestling in general.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Ross would get because Ross like wants to like find out about their childhood and were you
who hurt you?
Yeah. Ross is like, oh, so you had a stepdad and he was an engineer. That must have been interesting. Okay. Ross wants to dig deep on these people, and I want to like play to their characters, right? Like I want to like be a part of the show. It's always and then I had just you the other day. Here I'm trying to get Swerve. I wanted to get him some tea before the big match next week at Wells Fargo Arena, AEW Dynamite. Tickets are on sale at HighVTix.com. And
what? What did I do?
And you're just sitting there looking at me like I'm an idiot.
Well, I didn't know what to do. I was so uncomfortable. It was the most that was the most uncomfortable I've ever been on this show.
And apparently, we're going to get another AEW wrestler, Matt. We've got
Yep.
another interview.
Not
you.
us.
I'll handle it.
Adam Flack and I are going to interview Orange Cassidy. From
Orange
AEW,
Cassidy.
At Wells Fargo Arena next Tuesday.
Wait, hang on a second. Zoom in on him coming out. Is that because he's orange himself?
He kind of looks
because he
orange.
wears so much bronzer.
Well, I invited Williams to come, so maybe
I'm gonna try and be there. Yeah, I'm gonna try and be there. I got a meeting right before it, but I'm gonna try and be there for sure. Coming up next Wednesday.
Hey, we got to talk about the GOATs announcing that they are hanging up their headphones at KXNO after a 15-year run. Murph and Andy announcing this week that they are stepping away from radio and stepping back in their career. I don't know how they did it this long, to be honest.
Dude, it's so hard.
The 15-year radio run in conjunction with their, both of them have been at WHO TV for 20-plus years, working a full-time job there. And, Andy for 8 years was on that damn morning show, just had a ridiculously long day.
I don't think Andy slept in 10 years.
I would try to talk to him about things he said on the show, and he wouldn't have any recollection of. He was malfunctioning so bad, he thought he had a stroke or had Alzheimer's or something, and it was just the schedule. I'm so happy to see that they're going to be able to take a little bit more time for themselves. Now, at the same time, I'm really sad, selfishly, because there's only really one thing I do every single weekday, consistently, and it's listen to the Murph and Andy show. I usually don't listen live because I'm at work, but every day I put that podcast on the drive home, which is about 30 minutes. I listen to most of the first hour, and then it's motivation for me to work out at night, because I want to hear the rest of the show as I'm exercising. And God damn, it's going to suck not to have that. Now they have another 3.5 weeks. They're going to be done at the end of June. But this has been such a huge part of my life, especially since I left Des Moines. Because I was a small part of the show when I was in Des Moines. I would fill in. I had Chris Hassel Theater. I would do things on the show. But this was the one thing that kept me really connected to the state of Iowa, to Des Moines, to you, Williams, because you had the show right after him for so long. And it really helped me stay connected and bridge that gap to this show that we have. I'm not sure I would have been connected enough to do this show had I not, felt like I've been on the ground with you guys there for a decade since leaving.
Well, that's what's cool about media in 2024 too, right? I saw so many people, making tributes to Keith and Andy who were like, oh yeah, well I live in Colorado and your guys' show keeps me tied to Des Moines, right? With local sponsors and events. And what I like about their show too is that we probably don't do well enough here, but we're doing totally different things, is it ties you into everything, right? The and more. So it's
that's my favorite segment, the more
segments.
segments.
And I oftentimes will learn things going on in Des Moines from that segment. That I don't spend enough time reading, the Register probably, and stuff like that. But they, those guys. We talked a little bit about this. Ross Peterson from KXNO was on CW Pod yesterday. You guys can go and listen to that in the feed. We did a lot of Des Moines sports talk radio history. If you guys want to check that out, but those guys changed the sound of what we all did. It made it more, I think, appealing to Iowans. I think there was a very high East Coast sounding style before Keith and Andy came on KXNO, and that was natural, right? Like Matt Peralt was from the East Coast. Marty Terrell is a Boston guy, right? Like they just do it different over there.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to, like WEEI in Boston is an iconic radio station. The New York stuff, they yell a lot at each other. They're very combative. Where Keith and Andy came on with a different style that I thought, I used the analogy on Twitter the other day, the rising tide lifts all boats, and I thought that made us all better. It made us more appealing to advertisers to not just be jerks. They showed that you can do it, and you can have these conversations and not just be a
And
dick.
you didn't have to just completely dive in 100% on sports. Yes,
Correct.
It's a sports radio station, but their motto was sports and more. And you often got more. And look no further than during the pandemic. Man, those guys were incredible during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even in Iowa, obviously. Much different down here in Florida than it was in Iowa. But I think they gave so many people just some kind of outlet that helped them through. Because they didn't – a lot of people got locked down, didn't work for a while. Those guys didn't. And I know you were part of that too. But the way they kind of held things together and really became a news show.
They were doing news. Ross and I were analyzing the Tiger King. Okay. So it's the truth. And that was when I say this, I totally mean it. Like Keith specifically, because he's just the oldest, and I think Andy would agree with you and me, but he's been such a model to all of us, like as we've grown up in this profession. And I would say for me too, John Walters was very much like that, where we had these, these iconic figureheads that did it the right way, that they weren't assholes, which is hard in this industry. I mean, you know more than me because you've been all over the country, but there's a lot of jerks who are in this industry.
People that would jump at the first chance to just get the hell out of Des Moines, because neither one of those guys are from Iowa. It's hard to believe now because they've been there for so long, because they are Iowans now. And Keith grew up in Vermont and then Florida, Andy in St. Louis, and then he went to Wisconsin. And Murph had opportunities to leave to go to ESPN in the mid-'90s, didn't. Andy took an opportunity in Kansas City and realized right away, credit to him, realized right away that was not the job he thought it was going to be, and immediately came back. And that shortly after that started the radio show. I mean, these two guys are probably the two biggest influences in my life outside of family. And I congratulate them on just an incredible 15-year run. And, God, I don't think it's sunk in yet, but my days are not going to be as good as they were.
And I would like to add, just from personal experience, the doing the daily live show on top of another job is very difficult to describe how hard that is. And I get it. Like, we're all blessed to do what we do and get paid to do this. That goes without saying. But I did that for 8 years, which is half of what they did. And I would come home at 7 o'clock and just be mentally shot. Like, done. It's a weird, mentally exhausting. The problem with the Daily Show, which is why I wanted to get out of it, is that you don't ever feel like you're off the clock, ever. Because it's like, I would get off at 7. Oh, now all these games are on, and we have to watch these because we're going to have to talk about them tomorrow. And Keith and Andy are probably getting home from the TV station, or Keith's getting home at 11. You got to catch up on games, and then you got to get up at a good time to put your show together. And their show was not like mine and Ross's show. Keith and Andy's rundown is meticulous.
Yeah.
Where Ross and I could just show up and talk for 3 hours, that is not how they conducted it. And it's why they were so good. And like they never once mailed it in. Like, they are very, very prepared for for it, and that's why like they're just a great example for all of us, and we'll miss them, but I will miss your text chain where you just shit all over their show and just criticize them all the time. That's what I will miss the most.
They got to have somebody, keeping them a little bit grounded. Because let's be honest, for the most part, it's 99% great. But man, sometimes they do things that just really piss me off. Or then, Downs or Lucas will be late posting the podcast, and God, I would drive home in silence. I'd be so upset.
Andrew's the unsung hero, though, because, again, I've filled in for them enough where I know like what the expectations are on that producer, and clearly Lucas has been handling it. I don't know Lucas. I've never
there's
met
a
him.
lot that goes into that. And I want to say, I hope they give Lucas an opportunity to host a show. I think he is
really talented.
Extremely talented, has a level head on his shoulders. I hope he gets an opportunity to do more now that Keith and Andy are vacating.
Have you met him? I haven't met him.
I have not met him face to face. I've talked to him on the phone a few times when I've called in, but to be that young and to just hit the ground running in that sort of situation, I think he's proven that he can take more on.
Two guys here on Iowa Everywhere. We are presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery in the Channel Seed Studios. Let's move on to.
So I'm just trying to go inside your head right now. You're scanning the rundown, aren't you? You're scanning the topics.
So I
what
got
are we going to hit
of...
here? Where are we going?
Oh, I know where I want to go.
Are you sure?
So I'm watching this Tom Brady roast.
Jesus, I didn't think you'd be going here. Were you watching it last night?
A little bit, yeah. While I was putting this together, and I
didn't watch the whole thing. I've just seen that. I've seen and heard so many clips. I feel like I've seen all the best parts, so I don't need to watch
Open-ended question. I think I know the answer to this. If you're being honest, okay? Would you ever agree to be roasted?
Hell no.
See,
no
you and me are
way.
too similar. We would be way too sensitive.
And some of the stuff that they say, I mean, they've got to go really deep. Bad stuff. I don't want to hear that because I would get pissed.
Yeah.
I don't think I would
assaulting somebody.
I don't know if I'd assault someone. I hope I would have the restraint at this age not to, but to have like friends do that, because what a roast is, and this is what makes it so great, is a lot of it is truth. And then you can kind of see what other people around you are thinking of you, but won't say.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like keep that in. Keep that to yourself. Because then it makes it real. And then other people start thinking of it. I don't like that level of roast. Hell no. Yeah, I don't care how much you pay me. No.
We're on the same page. I was reading this story about why Wes Welker didn't want to be a part of it, and it got me to thinking about that because I had it.
Well, because it's not just these random people or people that are kind of on the periphery. These are your best friends.
Yeah.
No way.
It would be a disaster. I thought you would go there. I thought you would go there with that. Other story is this Joy Taylor, so Joy is with Fox, right?
Yes.
So what did she say about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is back in the news today because I don't know if we have the video. Some guy was harassing the Sky bus. What was going on here? Have you seen this?
I did see the video.
Was it the guy who bought all that Swarm beer?
No, it was the guy that was harassing Matt Campbell after the loss to Ohio. So the report comes out that the Sky bus kind of gets harassed and Kennedy Carter gets targeted. But there was no. What I thought was interesting is there wasn't like video right away of it. Like I thought if it was really bad, and maybe it was, that players would have posted videos of like, look at this, look at these people, look what's happening here.
Yeah.
But the videos I've seen, it just seems like kind of like a paparazzi thing. It's a guy that, I wouldn't say he ambushes Carter, but he's standing between Kennedy Carter and the doorway to the hotel, basically. And he's like asking her to comment. Have you reached out to Caitlin Clark? Have you reached out to Caitlin Clark? And then there's a security guy that comes up and he's like, hey, come on, that's enough. Now, that's the only video I've seen. I'm allowing for the possibility that maybe there was more to this. The video that I've seen, though, is
Didn't
not
look that
much.
bad.
Do you have that video, Van Winks?
I'll look for that. I haven't seen that one floating around. I do have the Joy Taylor stuff when you're ready.
Yeah, let's see I haven't seen this Joy Taylor video. I want to see it here.
She just said the national championship game. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before Angel Reese walked up to her, did this, and pointed to the ring. This is not my opinion. I lived it. I watched it. It was recorded. It was broadcasted live. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before that moment.
I mean, that's not even true, is it? Or is it just because we lived in Iowa?
Well, I think it's a truth to her because she wasn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't talking about Caitlin Clark, so that could be true for her. But let's not make any mistake about that. Caitlin Clark was a superstar nationally before that happened. The Iowa-South Carolina game was I believe, at the time, it had like the highest rating of any women's college basketball game, did it not? And that was before they played in the national championship game. And then Angel Reese doing the thing to Caitlin Clark, that's when it exploded. But yeah, to suggest, and it seems like she's suggesting that Caitlin Clark is as big of a star as she is now, thanks in part to Angel Reese. And that is not true.
I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt to have.
I do think that Caitlin Clark, the conversation has been more. Sorry, I'm distracted by this video that Van Wink's playing. This is the video of the paparazzi.
Is that like the security guy?
Do you so play it sound full, Van Winks. This is the Chicago Sky.
Have you gotten a chance to reach out to Caitlin? Hey, man. Come on with that. Relax. Have you gotten a chance to reach out to Caitlin? Trinity, have you gotten a chance? The basketball world wants to know if you've gotten a chance to reach out to her.
Did he call her Trinity?
Think about how much worse this would be if they were flying on, regular airplanes now instead of the private jets too. How much more harassment they'd be getting.
Oh, that's a great point.
Well, just for the people that haven't seen the video, he's not even within 5 feet of her.
It feels like he's from like TMZ.
Yes, it does. And this is when they're, I believe, getting off the bus to go to the hotel in Washington, D.C. He's not invading her space, really, but he is pointing a camera at her. And the security guard, I thought the security guard did a fine job. He didn't put hands on the guy or anything. He just kind of got in the way and was trying to block him a little bit as they walked in. I didn't think that was that egregious. Maybe there's more to it.
I'm glad that they have security. I guess I didn't know that these WNBA teams had like security walking around with them. So that's probably a good thing.
I think this is somewhat new.
Okay.
I don't know that they had a bunch of security last year. Maybe they did. Maybe that was an assistant coach. I don't know. It seemed like security, though. They need it. I mean, they absolutely need it because the profile has risen so much. And these storylines have gotten so toxic and out of control.
Oh, God. It's almost getting to be way too much.
I would expect that to happen everywhere now. Like, how is there not someone waiting there with a camera or multiple people when Caitlin Clark gets off the bus, when Angel Reese gets off the bus, hell, when Kate Martin gets off the bus for the Aces? I hope that's all there is to that story. Because the original reports made it sound like it was ugly.
Well, I would also say to, any of these athletes, it's kind of part of the deal too, right? Like when, unfortunately, but they're more than athletes.
It's absolutely part of the deal.
You want the WNBA to grow and
this happens all the time.
Yeah,
to NBA players and NFL players. Now they're going to have more security, I'm sure.
That's why I said I'm glad that guy was there, right?
Yes.
I'm glad
now,
they
I
have
don't know, but if he wasn't there, do you think it would have been any different? I don't.
No,
I think she would have just kept walking, and the guy would have kept his, I guess, a somewhat respectable distance. I mean, he's 10 feet away.
Yeah.
So I hope that's all there was to it, because when I first saw the report, it seemed a little worrisome based on what the players were saying.
Well, and that's where I'm like, y'all better get used to it, because it's like if the game's going to keep growing, like there's going to be more stuff like this.
You know what I've been thinking too with the Olympics coming up is how crazy the media frenzy is going to be in Paris with the women's team. Is Angel Reese going to be on the team? Have they done invites and stuff to that yet?
I can't imagine that Angel Reese would be on the team. I mean, Caitlin Clark is borderline.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Clark would be Caitlin Clark's game is at a level that is above Angel Reese. I don't think you can really, argue that.
It's not going to be Dream Team 1992 or whenever that was. But I do wonder the media situation for the U.S. women's team. In Paris? Is that where the Olympics are? It shows how much I know. I don't even pay attention. But I wonder.
But do you think this is worldwide? I mean, do you think people in Paris are up on all these storylines and these?
Man, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the women's game isn't as big over there but I tell you this, and I'm God's honest truth. I'll be way more interested in watching the U.S. women's games than I will the men's this year.
I will too, and I hope Caitlin makes it. I think she does. I don't know how big of a factor she'll be on the team, but I think they'll take her.
They'll put her
because they need, well, need might not be the right word, but
they want that star power.
Yes, and so does NBC.
They and as a sport in general, they need it because they want to capitalize on all this momentum, right?
Mm-hmm. And did you see that they just announced the 3-on-3 teams, and it was some really great video where they went up to Cameron Brink and Haley Van Lith and let them know that they were part of the 3-on-3. I think that has the potential to be even more interesting, the 3-on-3 stuff, because it's unique.
Yeah.
You only have a handful of players on the team, so it's not like you can get lost on the bench. I think that has the potential to. And the other countries, maybe they have more of a chance because it's not 5-on-5. You're not dealing with a roster of 10+. Like you only need a couple to be good. I almost wish that Caitlin Clark was a part of the 3-on-3 team and not.
Now that would be dope.
Yes. If it was Caitlin Clark and Cameron Brink and Angel Reese on a team, can you imagine the ratings for that?
That's cool, that video of Van Lith getting invited. She gets real emotional.
And it was very similar for Cameron Brink. She was really emotional. But for Van Lith,
I would love to do a sit-down with Van Lith.
I would too.
Hear
After
about her
last
time.
season.
Yeah, she's a fascinating athlete to me.
She was kind of on top of the world a year ago. Everybody wanted her in the portal. People were throwing money at her left and right. Joins LSU. We're thinking, man, this is going to be a super team. And then it just didn't work.
It's like Kim Mulkey ruined her. She was in the know for about 8 months and then got the hell out of there. He should be in the Big 12 next year. That's great. Get to see her at Hilton Coliseum.
Who's in the Big 12?
Van Lith. She's at TCU now. She transferred to TCU. So that'll be cool. That'll be a star power game in Hilton.
Absolutely.
All right. A couple of little things to get to is I'm gonna do mine, and then I need you to talk to me about high socks, your sister, and something that you found.
What? You're gonna burn all this stuff?
Yeah, we're gonna go through it all.
How are we gonna get through all this stuff that I have had on the
We'll find
rundown
out.
for weeks?
Real quick, I want to show you how tough this is. Wild. Dustin Poirier, he got his ass kicked by Islam.
What?
Not the religion. Islam's the fighter. He's the champion.
Oh,
UFC
okay.
302 last week.
Is that his name?
Yeah. Last week.
His name is
Dustin?
Islam?
Yeah. Islam Makavev. I'm butchering it. In one fight, okay, Poirier shattered his nose, broke his rib, and tore his ACL and finished the fight in that thing.
He finished the fight.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Okay.
Think about that.
Because those three things happening in a fight doesn't surprise me.
All at once and finishing it.
What do you mean all at once?
Well, all in one fight.
He got
Nose.
one punch to the nose.
Look at that.
Broke his nose, his rib, and tore his ACL.
His nose is just flowing with blood.
These guys are fucking crazy, man.
Look at that.
Just crazy. If that happened to me, I think I'd be dead instantly.
Depends on
And
how
if I
much tea you
survived,
got.
I would just go around in a bubble the rest of my life.
Look at this guy. And then he
Just
was completely cool
insane.
after the fight. He was totally normal,
It scares me that people like that are out there. What if that guy had a problem?
Oh, those guys are not normal.
By the way, somebody called you Sally Jesse Raphael in the comments, and
What the hell is that
I
supposed
can't stop looking at you and your glasses.
Well,
from the Gloria Van collection.
My other glasses were stolen in Omaha. Whoever robbed me in Omaha, my glasses were one of the things that they took. So I had to buy some new ones, and this is.
Don't
where
you
I
wear
landed.
contacts?
No, these are the blue blockers, so I get. Oh God.
Look at Sally Jesse Raphael. You need some big, thick red ones.
It's kind of rude.
The guy's roasting you. You said the last thing I want is a roast, and now we got somebody in the comments calling you Sally Jesse Raphael.
I can't handle the roast, guys. I would just curl up in a shell, or I would come and want to fight you.
You got
one
your
of the two.
40th birthday coming up. We're gonna plan the roast of Chris Williams for your 40th.
No, I'm already dreading the 40th enough. I don't need that on top of it.
We'll do the anti-roast.
Yeah,
Let's
just
talk
everybody
nice
tell me how
things
much
about
you love me.
We also had a commenter that praised me for something you guys
you
haven't
do?
said boo about, and it really upsets me. You haven't mentioned, Williams, anything about my new lighting.
No, it looks great.
My background.
I have noticed.
And look at that right there.
The little Amish bench.
I've got the Amish bench in the background right in front of the Couture bobblehead. Now, come on.
Tiny
What's that?
little Amish
What's
bench.
that car? What's the car back there?
It's Joey Logano.
This is the Joey Logano car because I was on his pit crew one year in Charlotte for like a NASCAR immersion thing. And this is this was my Pinewood Derby car in second grade.
That thing's all made of wood?
So my stepdad and I.
It's the wood that makes it good.
We're making this car. Okay? And this was in the middle of the Bulls run. So I'm going red and black, all right? And so we already put the black wheels on, we painted it red. The night before my Pinewood Derby race, because I was ready to put the 2-3 on this for Michael Jordan.
Absolutely.
The night before my Pinewood Derby was when Chris Street died.
Oh man.
So we went down there that next morning and we slapped the 4-0.
That's cool. It's a good story. You should have painted it black. Black. and
Yeah.
gold.
It was too late. I had to take it to school. But I've always cherished the car because of that, because it reminds me of that.
That's cool.
Hey, I got a request, Hassel.
Yeah.
At the end of the show today, take your earbuds off, and I want you to shoot a hoop on your mini hoop. If you make it, I don't know. If you make it, you win a prize.
What kind of prize?
Yeah, you'll find
One
out.
of those shitty nutrition treats that Matt brings for the mini turtles.
No, we'll
Just
get you one. We'll get you the rope hat. Fine.
Hang on, I'll go get it right now.
Okay.
Sugar and carbs. Yeah.
Hey, the
Great
big
game,
turtles got a
girls.
big win.
We did. We
Heck yeah.
snapped our losing streak last night. It was good. It felt good. Girls won 1-0 in Colfax.
What's that?
My team won last night. We got our second win of the year.
You can't talk to me like that because I don't have. You know how these headphones are. They've got to be in for me to hear.
Mine got stolen.
Now I can't hear a goddamn thing you're saying. Van
No.
Winks, you screwed everything up. My headphones came undone. All right, now I'm back in. I'm back, baby.
He's
I can
back,
hear
baby.
you.
Woo.
All right, so what do you want?
He wants you to shoot a hoop.
Yeah,
Okay,
give us a shot.
You got to go full screen here. All right.
Okay, we hear you.
Okay, what do I get if I make it? Do I get a free?
We'll get you an appointment to Game Day Men's Health to get the low tee
We're
shot.
gonna give you a shot in the tip. I'll work out. I'll get it worked out so you can get a free shot.
A free
in the tip.
shot in the tip.
Yep.
There you go.
Your wife
Okay.
will thank us later.
All right, here we go. This is about. I would say this is. Well, I'm about 10 feet away, but this ball barely fits inside that rim, barely. So it's gonna be a tough shot.
Hassle.
Oh, no free shot to the tip.
Oh shit! No,
We'll
good.
get it
No,
one
not
of these
even
days.
close.
We'll make it
By the way,
a tradition.
Am I ever gonna get any of this new Iowa Everywhere swag?
It's in the process.
Jesus, I mean, I see everybody else is walking around with it.
No, they're not.
What do you mean? No, they're not.
Who's walking around with this? new
Brend
swag?
is out there.
Oh, with the hat. Oh, the rope hat. Yeah.
He's got the rope hat.
I'll send you a Turtles hat too. Do you want one of them Turtles hats?
Priest Peterson, Father Peterson from Making Memes. He's got all the swag.
Father Peterson.
And I've got nothing. I'm sitting over here with the goddamn death trap cap, just using it as a prop.
Cheers to the freaking weekend. It sounds like you could use some Steeple Ridge bourbon as well. Do you like that?
I could, yeah.
Let's what are you doing this weekend? What do you guys got going on?
It's a big weekend.
Yeah.
The nieces are coming from
Oh,
Corn.
yes. The pride of Adams County, Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Their first big trip down here, and they're 10 and 12.
You're letting them stay in your house?
I'm surprised that they're staying in the house. I can't believe my wife is having them stay in the house because we don't have a second bed. She has gotten rid of all of our extra beds because, well, one of the bedrooms she turned into her office, so she got the bed out of there. And then this is a bedroom, but it's now my podcast room. Got the bed out of here. So
what do you got, an air mattress situation?
My two nieces are coming with my mother-in-law, and my wife, instead of putting them up at a hotel, she's going to have them sleep on a pull-out couch and an air mattress.
That's nice.
I thought that once we got rid of all the beds, that was a clear message that no one was welcome to stay here anymore.
No, I'm bringing my kids down in the next year.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
I really thought that they would go to a hotel, but my wife's like, "Oh no, they'll be fine."
Well, you can't.
They're small
let them,
people.
You can't do that because you've got this wild boar problem in Florida. Have you read about this? Have you seen?
This is such bullshit.
Have you seen these wild boars that are just swarming the entire state of Florida?
The only thing I've seen on it is the article that Van Winks sent to us yesterday.
Pull that sumbitch up, Van.
And I didn't
if I
read
were
it
you,
because the headline said, "What did the headline was like? Every single Florida county is being taken over and molested by these wild boar pigs."
What you need to do is you need to pour yourself a flask of that Steeple Ridge bourbon. Go and get your 22 and go wild boar hunting is what you need to do this weekend. Take the girl. You want to take the nieces on a good time? That's a good time. Buckle up, girls.
They would not like that. They actually have pet pigs.
Wild boars?
Not wild boars, but like pet pigs, like pot.
You know, they always say if you get into a situation where you need to dispose of something and it'll never be found, feed it to pigs.
Yes, I've heard that. What is that?
A lot of dead
the
bodies
headline
have
from the Orlando Sentinel. What does that say? wild pigs conquering all Florida counties are now taking over the U.S.
And the quote from the officials, "We're not going to barbecue our way out of this."
My God, it's just total fear porn.
Abadi, that's all, folks.
What? I've never seen a pig, and I'll be honest. I've lived down here, over 6 years now, almost 7 years. I have never seen an alligator in the wild.
Would you rather have a wild boar problem or a fox problem?
Oh, definitely a fox problem. Because fox, that's not a problem.
What would you do?
In fact, I haven't even pointed this out because my wife heard the show and she's like, well, have you told them about the foxes in our neighborhood? And I said, no, I actually haven't because it's not a big fucking deal, okay? We have 2 foxes in our neighborhood. Who cares?
Yeah, are they eating your neighbor's chickens?
We don't have chickens.
Well, hence why there's no
They're
problem.
probably eating the iguanas.
That's a good thing. Iguanas are pests. Chickens are providing eggs. They feed America, like our friends at Channel Seed.
One of the comments from the show we did on Monday on YouTube, it was just like, leave that goddamn fox alone, you fucking idiots.
He's talking to you, Van Winkle.
Yeah, at Van Winks.
I got some intel about where to put the cage, so stand by.
I'm surprised you're not just gonna feed it a hot dog and put poison in the hot dog just to kill the thing. These wild boars. I'm telling you though, if you're sitting around the pool drinking Steeple Ridge bourbon with your nieces on Saturday, they're not drinking, you are. And a wild boar comes in the backyard, leave it the hell alone. Don't touch that thing.
What do you think I'm going to do?
I don't know, but it would kill you.
Go hug it?
Those wild boars are nasty.
I promise you, there are no wild boars in Palm Beach.
Well, the Orlando Sentinel is a legitimate news organization. That's real journalism. And they said, quote, we're not going to barbecue our way out of it.
If they've got a bunch of them in northern Florida, central Florida, I really don't think they're over here running around the beaches here on the Atlantic Ocean. But I'll get back to you. If I do see one, I will get back to you, I promise.
I want so badly for there to be a boar infestation in Delray Beach, Florida. Just boars everywhere.
All right. Are you happy? You teased all that shit that I put in the rundown and we didn't get to any of it. You happy?
Yeah, I guess
I knew this was going to happen. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
It can be a secret.
On Monday, we'll hear about Hassel's high socks, his sister, and something that's been missing for 4 months. And that's all the information I have on these topics. I don't have any more. I can't even tease them better than that. That's
Good.
coming up on Monday.
You don't need any more.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. We appreciate it. We probably don't say thanks for tuning in as much as we should. We appreciate all of our sponsors, Fareway Meat and Grocery, the Channel Seed Studios. Don't forget to get those AEW tickets. Lots of tea flowing through Wells Fargo Arena next Wednesday, folks. We'll be back on Monday morning here on Iowa Everywhere.